This is Dr. B. Krishnachandra Kirti, Assistant Professor of English, Dr. BRR Government College, Jadcherla. Today, let's learn some aspects about a grammar topic, note making. What is note making? How can we make a note? So, note making is an important study skill, one of the writing skills. Note making is useful while reading an article or a book. Generally, whenever we go through a book or read an article or when someone gives a speech, we want to remember certain important points. We want to make a note of it. We need to note down the important points and later on we can elaborate on them. Making notes will help one organize one's own thoughts in a better way. Note making is important in two aspects. Firstly, in view of the consideration of the different points of the text which is being read or listened to. And secondly, making own conclusions about them. So, whenever we go for note making, we consider, we examine, we analyze the different points of the text which we read or listen to when someone speaks out, and we make our own remarks or comments or conclusions about the important points. While making notes, take down the main or important points by looking at the special words that introduce new information, words, or by observing signals from the tone of the speaker's or writer's tone. So, when we begin to make notes, the first thing that we are expected to do or we are supposed to do is we have to take down the main or important points. And how can we identify the main or the important points? By looking at by examining, by analyzing the special words that give us, that introduce us new information, or by observing, by following the signals, writers or speakers, by raising or lowering, rise and fall of the tone, that is through intonation they give us some signals, and if we observe or follow the symbols or the signals, we can identify the special words, the important points. Prepare a clear outline with bullets, subheads, so that you will understand the notes later. After identifying the important points or the main points, an outline has to be designed or prepared. And in the outline, through indicating the separation of ideas or main points, the writer has to use bullets and subheadings, and under subheadings once again main points, main headings, subheadings, and important points or main points under subheads. Organize your notes so that they reflect how the ideas were connected in the original text. So, at any cost, the original text should not be misinterpreted. The meaning should not be deviated or disturbed at any cost. Write down the important points that you identify in short form using words, phrases, and abbreviations. So, when one begins to make a note, and after going through the text and identifying the important points, the writer has to use short form. In a note, complete sentences need not be used, and phrases can be used, and abbreviations can be made use of. Underline the important words in the note prepared. You can either use symbols, common symbols and standard abbreviations. For example, EG stands for example, and etc, etc. Or we can create our own ENG for English, ENGG for engineering, TECH technology. Likewise, we can create our own symbols. Omit all articles, prepositions, conjunctions, and pronouns unless they are necessary to reach the notes. So, as was well said by George Bernard Shaw, so whatever is understood is correct English. Broken English can also be useful sometimes. Here, broken English can also be used. All articles, prepositions, conjunctions, grammatical words, functional words can be omitted unless and otherwise they are necessary and important, and without which the meaning cannot be arrived at. If we feel so, we have to incorporate them or include them. Otherwise, we need to omit all the articles, prepositions, and conjunctions. Use dashes to link ideas. So, to link one idea with another idea, we need to use dashes. Use graphical representation. Graphical representation means non-verbal communication using flow charts, mind maps, tables, graphs, histographs, bar charts, etc., and tables, etc., in the form of diagrams or tables in your notes to summarize information. So, to summarize information, a graphical representation can be made use of. Plan the entire process of note making in a stepwise or phased manner. So, the writer or one who wishes to prepare a note, make a note, has to plan the entire process in a stepwise or phased manner. Step 1, the first step should be skimming. What is skimming? There are two types of reading, skimming and scanning. So, skimming is superficial reading, surfacial reading, quick reading, or fast reading, and it is external reading. Quick overview, it gives us the quick overview. Go through the text from beginning to end to get or arrive at a general view of the text. For example, if we take the example of newspaper reading, the very first thing that we do is we go through the pages, we turn off the pages, we go through the headlines just to observe, to make a quick glance of what is going on in and around the world, in the mandal, in the village, in the state, in the nation, in the world, in and around the world, etc. So, skimming is horizontal reading. So, what the text is about can be arrived at by going for skimming. Step 2, the second step is scanning. What is scanning? So, scanning is vertical reading, it is analytical reading, and it is interpretative reading, it is examining, and it is detailed reading. Go through the text twice or thrice till you understand it perfectly. Have clarity of the ideas contained in it. Analyze the text. So, going through the text once, more than once, twice, thrice, or four times if needed, there is nothing wrong. Till you understand it perfectly. Have clarity of the ideas contained in the passage or paragraph or text, given text. Analyze the text into parts. Identify the main points or divisions of the passage and give them suitable appropriate headings. So, main points of the paragraph are given the text are the given text, the divisions of the passage, and give them suitable appropriate headings. Step 3, Read the text once again and note down the subpoints that fall under each main heading. So, first, identify the important points, identify the main headings and the subheadings, and the main points which fall under each subhead or each main head. Step 4, the last step, should be putting or giving a suitable or an appropriate title that represents or reflects the central idea of the text. What the text is about should be represented by a suitable title. It should be 2 or 3 words maximum. And a hint for the students to identify how to put a title, how to give a title, how to suggest a suitable or an appropriate title, mostly in the very first sentence, that is the topical sentence. So, the first sentence of the paragraph will be the topical sentence. The topical sentence suggests the title mostly. Sometimes, rarely, the title will be in the midst of the passage or paragraph or the text, and very rarely it will be at the end, towards the end of the passage or during the conclusive part. And the outline of the note making will be as follows. First, title, subheading 1, and under it point 1, point 2, subheading 2, point 1, point 2, main points, subheading 3, point 1, point 2, subheading 4, point 1, point 2. And a model note making text. The great advantage of early rising is the good start it gives us in our day's work. The early riser has done a large amount of hard work before other men have got out of bed. In the early mornings, in the early morning, the mind is fresh and there are few sounds or other distractions, so that work done at the time is generally well done. In many cases, the early riser also finds time to take some exercise in the fresh morning air, and this exercise supplies him with a fund of energy that will last until the evening. By beginning so early, he knows that he has plenty of time to do thoroughly all the work he can be expected to do, and is not tempted to hurry over any part of it. All his work being finished in good time, he has a long interval of rest in the evening before the timely hour when he goes to bed. He gets to sleep several hours before midnight, at the time when sleep is most refreshing, and after a sound night's rest, rises early next morning in good health and spirits for the lovers of a new day. This is the text. And we can make a note like this. The title is The Advantages of Early Rising. What are the benefits of early rising? Why should we rise early? What sort of advantages will it accrue? So the title it is given in the first sentence itself. The great advantage of early rising is the good start it gives us in our day's work. In the very first sentence, the title is given. Just we have to pick it up, and we can begin the note with a saying, a maxim. Well begun is half done. So the meaning of the saying at the maxim is, if we begin any work well, auspiciously, in a good spirit, half of the work is deemed to have been done. The first subhead is freshness. In the early morning, the mind is fresh, mental health is assured. Number two, no disturbance, distractions. So divide of distractions. In the early morning, there will be few sounds, almost no distractions, and so free of sound pollution. So we need not worry of sound pollution. There will not be any sound pollution in the early morning. Efficiency of work. The work done in the early morning with fresh mind and without any distractions is naturally well done. So when the mind is fresh and when there is no sound pollution and when there is no disturbance or distractions, we naturally we can do well, we can turn out the work well, and there is no surprise if the work is done well. Subhead 4, time saving, proper planning, physical health, physical fitness. The early riser finds much time to plan well for the day's work schedule without any hurry and haste. So, as he wakes up, as he rises early, he finds much time. So much of time will be at his disposal. He can plan well for the day's work schedule, and there is no need to hurry and be in a haste, as haste makes waste. When there is no time, sometimes due to lack of time, we will be in a haste, and haste makes time. Everything will be spoiled when we become hasty. And second thing is, the early riser finds much time to do exercises in the fresh morning air, keep himself fit. So as he wakes up early, he can have time to do exercises in the fresh morning air and keep himself fit. By rising early and doing exercises in the fresh air, he can keep himself active and energetic throughout the day. So the early riser can recharge himself, can rejuvenate himself, can refresh himself by doing exercises in the fresh air, and by doing so he can keep himself active and energetic throughout the day. So the energy which he gets by doing exercises in the fresh air keeps himself active and energetic throughout the day, and he will be cheerful. The fifth subhead is sufficient rest. So a sound body, a sound mind and a sound body. So having completed the day's work well in time, he can go to bed early and will have good rest. So, since he wakes up early, since he rises early, he will do the work well, have a plan well, need not be in a hurry and haste, and his mind will be fresh to do the work, and he can have time to do exercises, keeps himself active, and having completed the day's work well in a good manner and in time punctually, he can go to bed early satisfactorily with much satisfaction, having done the work efficiently, and will have good rest. Since he goes to bed early, early to bed, early to rise, makes a man healthy and wealthy, and he will have good rest. After a sound sleep, he refreshes himself and gets ready for the next day's work in good spirits. So, having taken good rest, after having enjoyed sound sleep, he wakes up, he rises early in the morning once again the next day, refreshes himself, and gets ready for the next day's work in a good mood, good spirit.